Shame is a biological and emotional response that can cause a feeling of discomfort or unease, mostly in the stomach area. It is the result of pushing away a part of yourself in order to gain approval from someone who has disapproved of that part of yourself. In this way, shame creates a split within your own consciousness. It is important to note that shame is not an emotion in and of itself. It's more like a physical response in your central nervous systems. It's like similar to the fight or flight modus. So, shame occurs when we believe that we have failed to meet our own expectations. And this causes, of course, issues with self esteem and your self worth. But where do these expectations come from? Well, as children, we are taught how to behave and think by the society we are raised in. This process is known as socialization. And socialization is a must in an unawakened society like we have today. So, in our society, there are shared values and beliefs that dictate how people should act, and with that, it teaches us to value one thing and condemn the opposite. For example, self sacrifice may be seen as valuable, as something really that everybody should do, and selfishness may be condemned. So, in order to maintain social order, children are trained to behave in certain ways that are acceptable to the society that we live in. And this often involves rewarding them for behaving in ways that are considered acceptable and punishing them when they aren't doing those things. In order to have your own needs met as children and to fit in and to thrive in society, we had to adopt the values of the society we were born into. This means holding ourselves to the expectations of our society in order to have a chance of feeling things like love, belonging, safety, and so on. So let's say that when you were younger, you have run inside or even in the garden, you were running naked. But because your parents value modesty and condemn public nudity, your parents, when they saw that, they probably had punished you or maybe even make fun of you. And this disapproval and pain of their experience would have been more than enough for you to decide that you never wanted to feel that type of embarrassment again. So, to avoid the pain in the future, you would adopt the value of modesty. And with that, you started to self regulate to avoid the pain of being regulated by others. We prefer to punish ourselves rather than other people punish us. We feel that less painful. And with that, we became extremely focused on being good, behave well, because being good means having our needs met, and being bad means being cast out, feeling hurt, and so on. Shame is a function of the conscience that helps us avoid negative consequences in the future. It keeps us in line and is activated whenever we violate the values that we have adopted. Those who struggle with shame the most are the ones who were raised in environments where their caregivers did not differentiate between bad actions and being a bad person. So let's say that you did something wrong when you were a child. Let's say that you ate a candy that you shouldn't have, and your parents probably responded by punishing you or saying things like, "You're a bad girl or boy, why the hell did you do that? You weren't supposed to do that." And you, as a child, you were actually not capable to distinguish between the negative action and yourself being a bad person, because nobody told you the difference, and probably your parents didn't know themselves either. So shame is about thinking that you are being a bad person, while guilt is about doing something bad and regretting afterwards. As for chronic shame, that comes from the belief that something is really, really bad about you and unchangeable, and that badness is inherent. It runs in your veins and you cannot change it. If you have adopted social values that conflict with your true self, you will always feel that contradiction within yourself. And unfortunately, it is rare to find a place that allows children and adults to express their true self. And because of it, this leads you to believe that something is really wrong with you and that you are inadequate, unworthy, not good enough, and so on. The root of low self esteem is often shame, which can be triggered by feeling like we do not fit in our social groups. So, for example, if you were born in a typical Christian family, but you are gay, you may have internalized the belief that being gay is an abomination. And this can cause you to constantly feel shame and bad because you know deep down that you do not fit the standard of being straight, that you had to adopt from society because the consequences of not doing that were way too high. Now, if you feel shame but you don't know why, that's because you have a subconscious standard that you are not aware of yet. So, this means that standards can be both conscious and subconscious. It is also important to recognize that shame can manifest in the body as various healthy problems, such as chronic fatigue syndrome, addictions, eating disorders, kidney problems, speech problems, depression, immune system disorders, and the list goes on and on. Also, when people feel shame, they may defend themselves in various ways. For example, they may aggressively blame others in order to divert attention from their own insecurities and make themselves appear right and superior. Those people are in a permanent state of defense, and this can lead to feelings of contempt for others. And that feeling of contempt can protect them from feeling shame by allowing them to deny their true feelings of worthlessness or that there is something really bad or wrong about them. People who are dealing with shame may also become excessively narcissistic as they are constantly seeking external validation to fill the void of feeling worthless. Now, important to mention, there is nothing wrong with getting external validation and significance and whatever. But when people do it unconsciously, which is the majority by the way, they are not aware that they are actually manipulating negatively the people around them, and with that causing more harm to themselves and the people around them. Because in those people's minds, they see the world like a game. Like I win, you lose. I can have it, you not. There is never enough for everybody. So, what can we do if we feel ashamed and we want to stop feeling that shame? Step number one, the most important one step is to become fully aware of the standards that you hold yourself to. And this will require honesty and courage because there are standards that you may feel really embarrassed to admit. Then, from that point on, you can choose whether you want to keep those standards or not. But don't forget that you are the one that decides if that is right or not for you, if that's serving you or not the other people, you. This decision, after you make it, will decrease the amount of shame you feel, and it also will give you power over shame instead of feeling powerlessness. Now, number two, if you want to change your standards, you must change your beliefs. Standards come in the form of beliefs. For example, I should be straight instead of gay. Or, if I am gay, I am an abomination. Once you find the beliefs that you have, you will have the opportunity to change them. When you are aware of them, ask yourself, from where does that belief came from? What is the negative side of accepting that definition? And what is the positive side of accepting that definition? What if the problem does not lie on the fact that I am different, but on the fact that I'm surrounded by the wrong people? If I would look for those people that think the same as I do, would that make me feel better? Or it wouldn't make any difference at all? It's really important to ask those questions to yourself. In the upcoming weeks, I will post more videos about how to change a belief because that theme is actually really big for this video only. But in the meanwhile, you can search for exercises on the internet to help you with this process. There are already many available. Number three, it is important to consider your concept of right versus wrong. If you feel shame, you may have already accepted stigmatizing beliefs. You should question your social values and the standards you hold yourself accountable to. And this might even seem obvious to question the rightness and wrongness of your social and cultural beliefs, but the majority of the people, they do not do this. When we are born into a particular society or culture, we automatically adopt their beliefs without even questioning them. And in some cases, questioning those beliefs is not something that is even allowed, like it was in my case. I was raised in a really Christian culture, and I was not allowed to question God. And the thing is, most of us never consciously choose to follow a certain religion, a practice, or set of beliefs. We simply adopt them because our parents and society follows them. You can see this unconscious adaptation of beliefs like contradicting your illness. It is not something that is truly yours and aligns with you, but it is there and it makes you really feel bad. We should question the concept of right and wrong in general, even for those things that seem so obvious, because that will allow us to achieve full awareness and stop feeling so bad all the time, like we are really bad people. Me personally, I even see the right and the wrong in the universe in a total different way than the majority of people. And that because I dare to question it. Is in the curiosity that the answers lie, the answers for who you truly are. So dare to question. Number four, if you are feeling shame in adulthood, it is likely because you experienced a lot of shame in childhood. Instead of trying to escape or avoid the feeling like you have been doing for so long, it is important to this time face and be present with the feeling of shame. This may involve reconnecting with the child within who was originally wounded by shame and repairing that relationship. When we try to reject or deny a part of ourselves, we only create more resistance and more pain. We then have like a love and hate relationship with that part, and it feels like a war inside of our head. The key is to accept and re-own that part of ourselves, because by doing so, then we can begin to heal and move past the shame. To know even better how to do this part, you can watch a video from Teal Swan on how to heal the emotional body. That is really great exercise. Or you can visit my website and schedule a personal session with me. Number five, improve your self-approval. And to do that, it is important to be disciplined and consistent. So try each day to focus on one aspect of yourself or somebody else that you do not approve of or don't like, and find approval for it. This may involve getting creative, thinking outside of the box, or even asking others for their perspective. For example, if you have something about your own body that you don't like, or a personality from someone else that you hate, try to find something positive and good about that thing. It can also be helpful to consider how that thing you disapprove of might be good in relation to others. Ask yourself, how is this thing that I disapprove of or don't like positive, good? Or how is this thing that I disapprove of about somebody positive and good? Remember, If we hold ourselves to higher standards, we are likely to do the same with others. And by practicing self approval, we can reduce the level of condemnation that we have for ourselves and others. And is exactly there where the harmony lies. And don't forget it, you don't have to accept it, just approve it, just see the other side of it. Number six, if you want to improve your self worth and overcome feelings of shame, it is important to recognize and question your need to be seen as a good person. Why is that so important? What would the opposite of it mean to you? And instead of trying to prove your goodness to yourself or others, focus on positive self awareness. Ask yourself, how would someone benefit by having a relationship with me? And how am I a good person? We all have a deep desire to connect, to be seen, heard, understood, and to belong. If you feel constant shame, these things in life are not something that you have experienced yet fully. You have been with the opposite. And as a result, you have closed yourself off from the world, feeling a split between your yearning for love and connection and the fear of being hurt again. And to heal this, learn to gain empathy and compassion for yourself first. You can do that by practicing the art of seeing, feeling, hearing, understanding, and seeing the value in yourself. Because only then will you be able to see, feel, hear, understand, and see the value in others. So, first, start with yourself. Now, to finish, there is something important that I want you to understand. You did not end up feeling shame because there is something inherently wrong with you. It was the process of socialization that has left you hurt. And as you recognize that your, let's say, ignorance and the wounds inflicted upon you contributed to your shame, you can begin to see that it's actually not personal. It's not about you, actually. If you can view yourself with compassion and empathy, you may realize that your inability to conform to social standards and values may have a deeper meaning and purpose. Perhaps you are not meant to fit in with these standards, and it is through you not conforming to that society, the culture, or your parents had the potential to evolve, to heal, and become a better version, instead of doing always the same toxic thing without questioning it. They are not even aware of it. So, I hope this helped you in some way, and as always, I wish you a really, really nice week.